I think it's better to learn when you feel happy than when you feel grumpy. It's just like, why am I here? But when you feel good and you learn, it's actually really fun to learn new stuff. Well, we usually come to school and then the teacher says that now you can answer the school day's questions, and then everybody takes our iPads open and answers them, and there's like all these questions about like how is your school doing, or like when do you wake up, or did you eat breakfast, have you seen bullying in the school. You should start it. It actually makes you feel better and your school to be fun, more fun.
Everyone, I'd like to welcome our viewing audience to another session of our Ed Talk series. And today especially I'd like to welcome our viewing audience all the way from Finland, and specifically from the Jules Verne's school community in Mexico City. Welcome all, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. I am Andrea Ferrari, founder and CEO at Whole Schools, and with my partner Gabriela Gonzalez Pacheco, Director of Programs, we have created this innovative space to inspire conversations around education during these unprecedented times. So education is transforming, and for Whole Schools, we believe that well-being, happiness, equity, and of course innovation are the keys to a change that is sustainable, that is future-proof, and that can face the challenges of the short and the long-term consequences. This is why we gather here with educational experts, opinion leaders, heads of school that can guide our educational communities, our parents, our school leaders, our docents, our teachers, and of course our students, so that together we can co-create the new landscape of education. Today we are very honored to say hello and to host our friend Henry Murima from Edu10 Playground in Finland. Henry has been, is the co-founder and has a long-term experience in technology and business. Henry has recently been concentrating on applying artificial intelligence and modern technological solutions to improve education worldwide. And Edu10, I'll have you know, is a spinoff from University of Turku in Finland, and it provides Finland's most popular digital learning platform worldwide. It has a scientifically validated mathematics platform since 2011, yes, and been used by 40 plus countries around the world, including Hong Kong, Sweden, United Kingdom, Australia, the United States, United Arab Emirates, and various countries in Europe. Of course, Latin America now, and this is why we're here to greet Henry and Edu10 Playground. Welcome, welcome, Henry. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you, Andrea, for having me.
Thank you. And thank you, Gabriella, for being with us to lead this discussion around math and play and innovation from Finland, which would bring us to our first topic of conversation, Henry. Tell us a little bit about Finnish pedagogy, please. And we understand this is at the core of Edu10. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how this came about.
Yeah, so a little bit about us. You already mentioned our university background from University of Turku. By the way, Turku has nothing to do with Turkey. Turku is actually the previous capital of Finland before Helsinki. University of Turku is one of those universities in Finland who are tasked to drive and develop the whole education system in the country. For example, teacher training is conducted exclusively by the universities. So university has been doing this for many, many years, and our background, Edu10's background, happens to be in one team at the university called Center for Learning Analytics. And this team is something like 25 people now who have been studying the digital learning and teaching for a long time. But before we actually go to the results and fruits of that research, about the Finnish system itself, because I really get this question a lot about what is so special about Finland? Why is a small country like the size of a medium city in India, for example, the whole country, why is it in the top of charts in PISA and surveys like that? I've been wondering about this thing myself for many years, and I think I have some kind of idea about that now after seeing schools and teachers and systems in many, many different countries around the world. The one big difference is that, or one feature of the Finnish system is that we truly try to model everything that happens in the system, in the education system, around individual students. Mm-hmm. And there are many ways and many kind of approaches to this, but this is in the core of why things work like they work in Finnish schools. Personalized learning paths, personalized support are just a couple of things that are impacting the effectiveness of the Finnish system. So these are kind of the most important cornerstones when we are talking about the Finnish system, and the digital approach then is what we do in Edu10 and University of Turku Center for Learning Analytics. Because Finland is a really small country, we don't really have this opportunity to kind of put a lot of people at the problem. For example, we don't have a lot of natural resources, so we have to be smart about building the community and the population of the country to be our powerful asset. And this means that we need to apply digital tools in many walks of life, including education. And technology actually has, when we apply it in education, of course in many other avenues as well, but in education specifically, it provides us with many different kinds of really wonderful options to enhance how we do things and what we do. And about digital education, I'm not talking about books that are in PDF format, for example, or available online. Those are the same way of learning and teaching books in the same way that we did 50 years ago. We are kind of missing a lot of power of that technology could bring us in the classroom. So that's why we are all about researching and innovating about how we can actually transform education in the classroom for the teachers, for the students, by applying these modern tools that are nowadays available. So this is kind of the background that university has been doing this for 15 years, and now Eduten was founded 3 years ago to provide some of these core innovations, including the mathematics platform. Actually, in Finland, it's used for many other subjects as well. But use these kind of tools and platforms and provide them in any country in the world. And as you mentioned, we have now spread into many countries in basically all continents, and Latin America happens to be our #1 area where we are expanding fastest right now. And one of the reasons is that we recently completed the translation projects for our content library to both Spanish and Portuguese. So this is kind of a big thing for us. I'm not sure if I answered your question at all.
No, yes, completely. And I was just saying, and I was muted, that you're going to make it all the way down to Brazil, which is my country of birth. So we're very excited that the languaging is going to make it accessible to all, because I know that one of the pillars of Finland is making education equitable for everyone, and it's one of the things that we prize very highly at whole schools. I think that Gabriela and we were having a conversation last night about two things that we wanted you to comment on. One of them is this idea about making math, again, equitable and accessible to everyone, right, Gabby? We were talking about so many kids suffer from math anxiety, and how you at Edu10, and you coined this term that I think you should register as a trademark. It's math with compassion, because it makes us, those of us that struggled with math as children really understand the importance of having a good emotional bond towards the subject before we can deeply learn. So maybe if you could comment how through, the gamification and your artificial intelligence platform, you've been able to assist children in learning math through play and innovation.
Sure. But really quick comment about what you just said before we get into that. I want to say that you are completely right that I didn't mention that equality is really in the core of the Finnish community and mindset of everything that we do. We really feel that it's very important that everybody gets the chance to show who they are, what they can do, and have the possibilities from the birth, so to speak. So a lot of the Finnish system, education system included, is actually focused on making sure that even the lowest attainment students can have the equal ways to progress to the system as high as they can or want, of course, without any kind of discrimination about your ethnic background or your languages or your gender or maybe even your disabilities. So Finland is very an equal population. But yes, on the topic of applying technology to provide this environment for learning, you mentioned gamification, differentiation, and artificial intelligence. I think those are very important building blocks when we are considering about what we actually want to achieve with technology in the context of helping somebody to learn something, and kind of having them this encouraging environment when it's comfortable for them to do that, regardless of their skill level or background. The goal, I believe, is the most important thing, and this is the fact that many studies actually show that math anxiety that you mentioned is a huge problem worldwide. One study that I saw recently said that over 60% of all students anywhere in the world suffer from high or extremely high math anxiety at some point of their learning careers. Math anxiety, I'm sure that every one of us, we know what it means. We know what it feels like when you are you have to solve some problems that you are kind of very unsure about how to approach, and then you fear failure. And kind of removing this fear of failure is super important. This is the key, in our opinion, in our core pedagogical model, that learning and exams, for example, and Finland does have exams. Somebody kind of has a rumor that there are no exams in Finland. That's not true. But when you have this high stress situation that you need to prove your skills, you need to prove that you have learned something and you know how to do something. This is of course stressful, and it's impossible to remove all of that stress. And we don't want to do, because stress can also be a really powerful force that helps you to achieve something. But when we can remove, or at least alleviate the stress in a normal learning situation by making the environment where we are practicing and building your skills, then actually magic happens. Because scientific studies show clearly that when you are enjoying the process and the actions of actual learning and practicing, then you will learn faster when, for example, compared to amount of exercises or tasks that you are solving, or even time that you are spending on learning. So when we apply, for example, gamification to make this motivating factor that regardless of if you can solve every question or every problem quickly, you will have this system that is supporting and making visible your progress. And when we are gamifying that so that you are competing against yourself, then we can see that this alone will be a really big driver in removing math anxiety. Another way, of course, doing is that we make the exercises itself, we make it stimulating, make it look interesting, sound interesting. But actually, something that we have learned together with the university team, there's a trap that you can fall when you're designing a system like this. Another study that I have seen, I'm not sure if this was from MIT or maybe Berkeley University, had demonstrated this by comparing the same set of exercises with three different kinds of a presentation. The first presentation was very bare, just black and white text and the questions and multiple choice, and that's it. The other opposite had really high quality graphics, lots of visual effects, lots of sound effects, but the same exact questions again. And then we had this middle ground that had some degree of visual, kind of say, eye candy, some sound effects, but those had been designed to support the learning content and not kind of to capture the attention of the learner. And as it happens, when they tested these three kind of systems, the clear result was that the middle system gave best learning results. And if you try to reason about that, I think that's clear that when the learning material is not stimulating at all, it becomes boring faster and you kind of start to disengage. And if it's very stimulating, a lot of graphical, lots of things going on all the time, then that's stealing some part of your attention, and you don't get to focus on the actual learning material quite that much. So these are the kind of just these kind of small things that we have learned about designing these learning materials and environments. Then you also mentioned artificial intelligence. This is more about learning analytics, learning about what you can do with observational data points that can be collected when exercising happening in this kind of digital system. Then you can use these modern algorithms and models to do many different kinds of things. And I think the most important ones are to first customize the learning paths and the contents for individual students. I mean, even in one classroom, there will be a spectrum of students based on their current ability. Some of the students have mastered the skills that are being practiced faster, and the other end is still struggling to kind of get going on the subject. But if we can fine-tune the same kind of a class of or topic of materials for both of these ends, so that the high achievers will have more challenging exercises, and the low achievers who are struggling will get better, more suited exercises on difficulty level for them, then we can actually show by peer-reviewed studies that this will actually increase the learning speed for everybody in the classroom, regardless of where they are in the spectrum. And this is just one application of the AI. We can also build AI-driven models to provide more high-quality learning analytics for the teacher, so that the teacher actually can understand the specific situation and current strengths and weaknesses of each student without actually spending a lot of time on doing mini tests or creating pen and paper exercise or something like that.
Henry, I was just going to comment on the role of the teacher, because if through this automation and gamification and the way that you're able to reach by differentiating the work on each student's level, in other words, you're able to attend to the different ends of the spectrum in the classroom, then the teacher's role, wouldn't it be fascinating to have like this free extra time that you can pay specific attention to those at the top that might need it, or those at the bottom that might need it, and just actually work on that personalized, customized approach, which is also at the core of, as you were describing, the Finnish pedagogy, yes?
Wait, Andrea,
Absolutely.
and I think
Yep.
going a little bit with what Andrea is saying, because I kept thinking about this same thing, is that when you talk about how at the core you need to personalize, it's a complete change from, you know, how in many schools we are so concerned about the curriculum content, and we're so concerned about what knowledge needs to be covered, and we really do not go into the whole making the student and the student needs and the student's level, I guess, to be the main focus. And what you're saying now with the part of gamification and IA, you're being able to do that personalized, which is really very difficult to do when you have a group of kids and you have maybe 30 or 35 kids at some schools. You know, the groups can even go up that high. And how can you do that? So I can see now why would you it would be so important to create this, you know, connection between technology, digital gamification, etc., and all the things that you mentioned. And as Andrea said, of course, that the role of the teacher has to also adapt to that, right?
Yeah, super important points, because in any education system or system that I have seen, the teacher is in the center of it all, because the capacity and the abilities of the teachers are in a really great way defining what is possible for the students as well. And if you remember in the beginning, I was mentioning a couple of the cornerstones of the Finnish system, for example, personalized learning and centering everything for individual students. This is super difficult if you have a lot of just one teacher and lots of students. And actually, even 30, that's not kind of a huge amount. I've seen some classrooms with more than 70 students per adult. And this is, of course, clear that the teacher will have only a small fraction of time per student. But the learning analytics that we are talking about here is that the learning analytics are collected while the students are practicing, and the results and the analysis is just presented to the teacher when they want to look at it. So this is a super important part of applying that technology in a smart way in a classroom context, because when we free the teacher from spending most of their time even on just trying to keep up what is the current situation of each student in their class, then we can see that the teacher can transform themselves on a higher level to become this support person and provide much more high quality support for those students who actually need their support right now. Because the other way how we can save teachers time is we can tell the teacher that let's say that 40% of your students, they are doing fine. They have a suitable challenge level. They are making some mistakes, but they're learning from them and they are progressing right now. They don't need your assistance today. Whereas these students will have these, we can clearly see from the analytics that what are the current misconceptions that they are suffering from, and they need the human to help with that. So this is very important.
This is very important, and we do know this, that children and schools, they love metrics, and we certainly know at whole schools that what you cannot measure, you cannot manage. And I think that it's, you've just pointed out something that's key, right? We need those learning analytics, and when they happen in real time, thanks to the platform and artificial intelligence being in charge, it will actually give the teachers that insight that they need in order to implement better practice. Yes?
Yeah, yes. Let me actually kind of mention something. You mentioned that AI is in charge, and this is actually something that we feel really important that this is not the case, because our synthesis, let's say, for kind of fusing the technology and the teacher should be that the teacher, the person, is always the final authority, the final pedagogical authority in the classroom. So in our model, I have seen other technologies as well that are not following this model, but in the Finland math model, the AI and the decision-making assistance is providing information and options and suggestions for the teacher, but always the teacher will be the final authority who will decide if some, for example, differentiation decisions should be carried out for specific students or not. So we believe that teachers will actually not become less important. Their role will just change a little bit, and they will get this kind of AI assistant for themselves and become this kind of super pedagogical experts who can focus most of their time in student support.
Excellent.
Well, that sounds amazing, that at the same time that they're applying all of these tools and techniques, they themselves are developing professionally and becoming experts in the field. So it's a win-win the way we see it, right, Gabby? And
yes,
thinking
definitely.
about this, just wanted to, I think we have about 5 minutes. I don't know if you have any questions, Gabby, because to wrap up, I'd really love for Henry to talk to us a little bit about, in this remote experience that we've all been living, what are some of the things, what are some advice that you could give us as, we head into these hybrid scenarios where partially we're in the buildings and some of us are still online. What are some tools or some proven experiences you can share with us as a takeaway today for our viewing audiences in Latin America, in Mexico? Again, I want to say hey to the Jules Verne School that are practicing with this very innovative platform already. They've been very successful in implementing it. Excited to have you guys. So back over to you, Henry. And of course, Gabriela, feel free to jump in if you have any last minute questions as well.
No, I think the recommendation for this moment for schools where we have, as Andrea said, some are still in virtual learning, some are going back, some are in a hybrid mode. And I think teachers are really suffering and they're being challenged to find ways to be able to, especially those who are in a hybrid situation and they don't have a teacher aide, as you said, to give them support. How can they handle just being able to take care of every student and be personalized, as you said, and just making sure everyone gets there, or is challenged to the best of what they need to be challenged?
Yeah, the pandemic has put huge pressure and problems for schools and teachers specifically. And that's true in every country that I've been working with in the past year or so. Finland included, actually. And I've seen many different ways how schools and school leaders have reacted to this. So in some countries, they are just shutting everything down. They are saying that we can provide education. In some countries, schools want to do that. They say that they can't do it, but the government is forcing them to provide education somehow anyway. We are now working with many kind of forward-looking schools around the world who have decided that actually have decided more than 6 months ago already that this can't be a permanent situation. They have to be able to help the students to learn. They have to provide the education somehow, and then the focus goes into looking for kind of solutions to problems. And kind of a quick overview on model how I've been talking with many Finnish teachers, that first of all, the most important thing is to have a high quality communication channel with the students. So you need some kind of communication tools. Many schools around the world are already using these kind of digital tools where they are assigning tasks for the students, they are following up on the results, they are grading and so on, sending messages to individuals or whole group and so forth. You can also use kind of these consumer grade tools, WhatsApp, whatever. Then another very important communication tool, of course, is video conferencing tools. Having the teacher's face visible, speaking, encouraging, motivating the students every day is very important. Without this human connection, it's very, very difficult to keep going for weeks and months. So kind of having this way to provide this instruction for the students is very important. And then learning happens by applying your skills, first failing, but kind of learning by doing. So students need to exercise. And this of course doesn't have to be through a video call. You can use and you should use tools that help you to provide assignments for the students, and then you can just follow up their progress and see if somebody is having issues or challenges. And then you can provide feedback and guidance for those who need it, and again, kind of go back to exercises. And the final step should be application, that when the students have exercised their skills enough, then they can apply their skills to what they have learned, and teacher can verify this, that yes, we can actually see that first they didn't have some skills and now they do have them. And basically this means that those learning goals have now been reached and we can move on to the next topic. So this becomes this cycle of kind of applying these communication tools and going to the exercise platforms or tools. You can also use kind of pen and paper as well, but validating and verifying that is very important. So I recommend these tools. Edu Playground is one of them, of course, but there are many others as well.
Thank you, Henry, for summing all of that up. As we come to the end of our talk, you have reminded us, and we're forever grateful, that when our students feel good, they learn better. And I know that for a fact, our partners also at School Day Finland are very highly focused on this part of well-being, the human connection, as you spoke of, the idea of belonging, and together everybody achieving more in thinking about equity. So you have brought wonderful ideas to us, to our viewing audience, and we are deeply grateful to be able to host you today, Henry. We know that we will be in touch very soon, and well, thank you, Gabriela, for accompanying us today, and to all those out there that are viewing us, continue to follow us to learn from the experts, to learn from what is happening around the globe. Thank you again, Henry. Thank you, Edu10 Playground.
Thank you. And as you say, we are all about combining the teachers' human empathy and compassion with the insights that can be given by these AI-driven systems to create these super teachers. So we continue to do that, and please take a look at edu10.com if you want to learn more.
Excellent. Thank you very much to all, and well, happy Tuesday, everybody.